Hey guys, and welcome to day 2 of my 10 Handmade Cards 1 Kit video series. And now I'm going to go on with my fourth card, and this one is a shaker card. So I've die cut all of the items that I plan on using. I kind of like to do them all at once so that I have my die cut machine right in front of me and just die cut everything, not having to stop when I am kind of in the zone of creating the cards. So I had die cut a circle from this pink bold paper, and then I'm going to add some acetate on the back side of that to start my shaker. And then I also cut out this black. It's just kind of a black rim to go around that, so it will stand out a little bit more. And I used two circle die cuts that are next to each other in size so that I can make sure that I am just adding like a little bit of a frame to the circle. And I've cut out some foam adhesive, and I'm just going to be taping that all around my card. And then I'm looking for some sequins, and my sequins are from Spiegel Mom, and they have a white kind of mixture to it, which was nice because my card had a lot of bold, well, especially this shaker part had really bold pink, and I am going to back that up with a light green scrap of cardstock. Then the gray paper that you see me cut there into 4 and 5 1/4, it has a very subtle floral print, which was really pretty for this kind of card. And then I'm going to add some more foam adhesive to that pink paper because my shaker card has some foam, so parts of that paper would not would have a different level with the rest of the circle. So here I'm going to try to figure out what kind of sentiment I want to go with the word joy. The joy was cut out from craft cardstock, and I'm going with wishing you, and I'm using some distressed ink to just ink that part of sentiment. That is a white cardstock that I had die cut using the Inspired by Stamping die cut set. Just cleaning up all my items, and I'm putting them all together. And then I'm going to go adhere that on a green cardstock base that had been cut into an A2 size card. Decided that I needed to ink up that little banner because it wasn't standing out very well against the subtle floral pattern paper on the back. So now I'm going to adhere it. But then I noticed that where I had put the banner, it made this shaker part just really flush to the edge, and I didn't want that, so I decided to move it. Thankfully, the adhesive that I use was not, I mean, it's permanent, but just as you had adhered it, it doesn't stick quite so strong when you just adhered it. And so that was good for me because then I could move it and won't rip my pattern paper. So I wanted to use some of these butterflies, and I decided to go with a red one because the background was a little bit more subdued, and so I can go with a bold design for my butterfly, or bold color I should say, for my butterfly. And that is my card number 4. So now we're going to go on to card number 5. And this one I wanted to use up the pattern papers again because I really love the patterns in that 6x6 pad. So I use the label die cut from the Inspired by Stamping die cut set, and then I also die cut the word joy 3 times, 2 with just white cardstock and then 1 with the orange cardstock. I felt like the orange matched some of the papers that I chose for this particular card, so that's what I went for. And I'm just using some glue pen to adhere them all. So now that they're all adhered, I can assemble the card. So I decided to adhere 3 on the top and then 1 on the bottom. My initial idea was that I'm going to be putting the sentiment on the bottom so that joy would be the first one, but none of the sentiments worked after the joy. the joy has to be the last word of the sentiment. So I just found one of my Inspired by Stamping sentiment set and then stamped Make Today Beautiful, and I thought that would work well with the word joy. And just kind of last minute decided that maybe I should adhere those labels with some foam adhesive so that they will be raised against the pattern paper. That background pattern paper, I actually run that through my die cut machine as well, using the stitch die that I have been using for the last few cards, and that one is from Memory Box. Sorry for the head, I just want to make sure that I align them properly. And so yeah, just finishing that off, and then I'm going to adhere the joy right in the center. So this could have been like a monochromatic type of color scheme, if not for the gray, I think, because it has a lot of the warm colors of orange, red, and pink in there. But I liked how it turned out, and then I decided to adhere that onto a green background just to make all of those warm colors stand out. Then I decided to use some enamel dots. I gotta have a dot for the joy. Some of my joy sentiments from this card set didn't have the dot, but with this particular one, I was feeling like it needed it. And that is my card number 5. So now we go on to card number 6. So this one's a pretty simple card, but I really just wanted to kind of play around with that city skyscraper picture from one of the papers, and I decided that I would cut some circles with this dotted paper, but I needed it to, like, I needed to emphasize the shape a little bit more. So to kind of do that, I ran my Sharpie on the edge, on the inside edge of the circles, so that it will have a really kind of dark separation between the back's paper and then the circle frame that I've created. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I should have maybe used like missing you type of sentiment, or we have moved, but instead I use a thank you, which is pretty basic. So I guess it's not so bad because it's pretty basic sentiment that I can use with any type of paper, not paper, but any type of recipient, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And then I cut that one with the same stitch die cut that I have been using before, and that has the background is kind of an orange, has some stars to it. And I've die cut the black cardstock using the Inspired by Stamping die cut set, and I'm going to heat emboss the sentiment thank you on there. I guess I should have used the thinking of you one. I don't know why I didn't use that one. That would have been a much better sentiment for this. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to make another card. Hopefully I have that same paper with a skyscraper in one of my others paper stash. So I made sure that I add some powder to the paper first before I stamped the sentiment with Versamark, just to make sure that um, the embossing powder does not stick to any places that I don't want to. I don't think I was successful, but it is what it is. So as you can see with my cards, I would say my style with card making is not so much the technique, although I love playing with techniques, but yeah, I don't do a lot of techniques with my cards. I'm still not anywhere near where I want to be when it comes to coloring, so I kind of skip that part. with this kit, I actually just played around with the pattern paper a lot, which is kind of my go-to, even with my scrapbooking. So yeah, I wasn't really adventurous with this kit. Although with this card, I have to say I was. Now this is, I would say, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, from the set. So I cut out a Canson watercolor paper, and I am going to add just the detail stamp of this flower onto a piece that's, I believe I cut it 4 by 5 and a quarter. And so I'm just going to be stamping that all over. I'm going to create my own quote unquote pattern paper with this. So I'm using some Versamark because I want to white or heat emboss um, the image using some white embossing powder. And in real life, it was really pretty. I wish that the video could capture how beautiful that white um, onto the watercolor paper. And I like to heat emboss my items kind of towards me instead of like, you know, putting my paper onto the table and then zapping it with my heat gun that way, because as you can see, my table, I have a plastic cutting board on top of it, and I have learned again from from my mistake that when I do that, when I heat the paper that's sitting on top of that mat, then it warps because of the heat of the heat tool. So I made sure now that when I'm heating something, the paper is lifted up and it's facing towards me, and I can just zap the image on there, or zap the embossing powder. So now I'm going to be watering my paper to kind of prep it, and then I am going to be smooshing some of that distress ink onto my mat here, and then I'm going to use that kind of as like my watercolor, and just adding that to the detail to kind of bring out the details of the flower. And I really, really love the results that I got. The only thing that if I were to do it again is I want to be able to kind of make sure that I had separated the colors, because I only used two colors here. This persimmon and also the fossilized amber. So this color is a little bit more orangey, and then of course the fossilized is more yellow. So if I were to do this again, I want to make sure that I had put the colors should kind of not overlap, but have kind of a pattern going, because once I did my fossilized, some of the yellows were too close together, and I kind of didn't like that. But lesson learned. So next time I'm going to make sure that I do it where, yeah, colors are not, the same color are not so close together. And I am just kind of, I use a tissue actually. If I had paper towel right next to me, I would have done that. I think that would have been a better way to kind of sop up some of that extra water, extra color that's on top of my sentiments. So, or my flowers, I should say. So when once I've done all of the coloring, I of course set it aside to dry, and then I grabbed some um, green cardstock, or no, green ink, and then I splattered some green onto that background as well. And then now I'm going to be heat embossing part of my title onto vellum. I forgot that I had pulled out a vellum for this kit, and I haven't really used it. So now I'm pulling it out, and I just cut an inch strip of it, and that's going to go on top. I felt like the background was really, like, I spent a lot of time on it, so I felt like that needed to stand out a little bit more. So I used the vellum so that I can still have sentiment, but it's not overpowering the background. So I adhered the flaps, or the ends of the vellum, on the inside, on the back side of the card panel, and then I am going to adhere this U that I had cut out with some glittered green paper from Die Cuts with a View. And then I just added um, the block there just so that the adhesive will, or the joy word will stick to the vellum, and then added some enamel dots and called it good. So I will see you tomorrow for my final video. Bye.